Long before the world knew him as the Viper, Randy Orton was simply a quiet boy growing up in a wrestling family. He was born on April 1st, 1980, in Knoxville, Tennessee, into a household where wrestling was more than entertainment. It was a way of life. His father, Bob Orton Jr., traveled constantly as a professional wrestler. His grandfather and uncle were wrestlers too. Around the dinner table, conversations were filled with stories of packed arenas, painful injuries, and life on the road. Randy grew up hearing cheers from crowds before he even understood what wrestling truly was. But behind the glamour, there was another reality. Randy often saw his father exhausted after long tours. Sometimes weeks passed before Bob returned home. The wrestling business gave fame, but it also stole time from families. Because of this, his father warned him many times. Don't become a wrestler. Bob Orton knew how brutal the industry could be. He wanted Randy to choose a safer life. But for Randy, wrestling already lived inside him. He loved watching matches on television. He admired the larger-than-life superstars who controlled crowds with only a few words or movements. Still, Randy wasn't the perfect child people imagined. He was stubborn, rebellious, and often impatient. School never truly interested him. Teachers saw talent in him, but they also saw anger and restlessness. Randy wanted excitement, action, and freedom. As a teenager, he became fascinated with sports and fitness. He had natural athletic ability and a strong physique. Friends noticed how confident he was, but they also noticed something else. Randy hated being told what to do. After high school, instead of wrestling, he tried another path. In 1998, he joined the United States Marine Corps. Many believed military life would discipline him and give him direction. At first, it seemed possible. The Marines were strict, demanding, and unforgiving. Every day involved intense training, rules, and pressure. Randy struggled badly with authority. He felt trapped inside a system where every mistake carried consequences. Eventually, things fell apart. Randy went absent without leave twice. His actions led to serious disciplinary problems, and in 1999, his military career ended with a bad conduct discharge. It became one of the darkest and most embarrassing moments of his young life. When he returned home, he felt lost. No military future, no real career, no clear purpose. For the first time, Randy faced failure directly. Many people doubted him. Some thought he would waste his life completely. But deep inside, one dream still remained alive: wrestling. Despite all the warnings from his father, Randy finally decided to step into the family business. He began training seriously, learning how to wrestle properly, how to take punishment, and how to survive inside the ring. The training was brutal. Every bump hurt. Every mistake mattered. And unlike television, wrestling schools showed no mercy. Randy quickly realized that having the Orton name brought pressure, not privilege. Trainers expected more from him because of his family legacy. Other wrestlers wanted to test him. Some hoped he would fail. But something changed inside Randy during training. For the first time in his life, he found something that matched his personality perfectly. Wrestling rewarded confidence, aggression, and intensity. All the things that once got him into trouble. Soon, promoters began noticing the young second-generation wrestler with natural talent and dangerous charisma. Randy had size, athleticism, and a calm confidence that made him stand out immediately. It did not take long before WWE noticed him too. And that was the beginning of everything. In 2000, Randy Orton signed a developmental contract with WWE. For many young wrestlers, getting signed by WWE was the ultimate dream. But for Randy, it was only the beginning of a much harder journey. WWE sent him to Ohio Valley Wrestling, better known as OVW, a brutal training ground where future superstars were created. The system was simple: survive or disappear. Every day, Randy trained for hours inside small gyms with hard rings that punished the body. Veterans screamed at rookies for mistakes. Coaches demanded perfection. Nobody cared about excuses. And Randy was surrounded by future legends. Young wrestlers like John Cena, Batista, and Brock Lesnar were also fighting for WWE contracts and television opportunities. Competition was intense. Everyone wanted to become the next big star. At first, Randy struggled with discipline. Trainers saw his talent immediately, but they also saw attitude problems. Sometimes he acted arrogant. Sometimes he didn't take criticism well. But inside the ring, he moved differently from everyone else. His wrestling looked smooth, natural, effortless. Even veterans admitted the young Orton had something special. In 2002, WWE finally called him up to the main roster. Randy debuted on television with confidence beyond his years. He was tall, athletic, handsome, and carried himself like a future superstar. WWE executives believed he could become the face of the company one day. But only months after his debut, disaster struck. Randy suffered a serious shoulder injury that forced him out for months. For a rookie trying to establish himself, injuries could destroy careers instantly. WWE moved fast, and forgotten wrestlers disappeared quietly. During recovery, Randy became frustrated and angry. He watched others rise while he remained stuck on the sidelines. Doubts entered his mind again. What if his career ended before it even began? But when he finally returned, WWE had bigger plans for him. In 2003, Randy joined one of the most powerful groups in wrestling history, Evolution. The faction included Triple H, Ric Flair, Batista, and Randy himself. Triple H represented the present of wrestling. Ric Flair represented the past. Batista and Randy represented the future. For Randy, this changed everything. Traveling beside legends taught him how the wrestling business truly worked. Ric Flair helped him improve his character and confidence. Triple H guided him politically inside WWE. Evolution protected Randy and made him look important every single week. Soon, WWE gave Randy a new character that fit him perfectly. The Legend Killer. The idea was simple and ruthless. Randy would attack wrestling legends to prove he was the future of WWE. And he embraced the role completely. Week after week, he humiliated respected veterans. He insulted icons. He attacked legends without mercy. Fans hated him passionately, but that hatred made him even more famous. One rivalry changed his career forever. Randy began feuding with hardcore wrestling legend Mick Foley. Many fans believed Foley would expose Randy as inexperienced and overrated. Instead, the rivalry transformed him. At Backlash 2004, Randy faced Mick Foley in a brutal hardcore match. During the fight, Randy crashed violently onto thumbtacks in one of the most shocking moments of his career. Pain exploded across his back and shoulders, but he kept fighting. By the end of the match, fans no longer saw him as just a talented rookie. They saw a future superstar willing to suffer for greatness. Only months later, WWE made history. At SummerSlam 2004, Randy challenged Chris Benoit for the World Heavyweight Championship. Almost nobody expected the 24-year-old to win. But that night changed wrestling forever. When the referee counted 3, Randy Orton became the youngest World Heavyweight Champion in WWE history. The crowd exploded. Confetti fell from the ceiling. And for one brief moment, Randy looked emotional and overwhelmed. The rebellious kid who once failed in the Marines had now reached the top of professional wrestling. But success created new problems. Behind the scenes, jealousy and politics were growing inside Evolution. Triple H had mentored Randy carefully, but now the student was becoming bigger than expected. And in WWE, power is never shared for long. After becoming the youngest World Heavyweight Champion in WWE history, Randy Orton believed the world belonged to him. At only 24 years old, he was already standing at the top of professional wrestling. Fans screamed his name in arenas. His face appeared on posters, magazines, and television commercials. WWE executives saw him as the future of the company. But fame changed Randy quickly. The success made his confidence grow into arrogance. He partied heavily, ignored rules, and developed a reputation backstage for being reckless and difficult. Some veterans felt he was disrespectful. Others believed success had arrived too early for him. Inside Evolution, tension was rising. Triple H had helped create Randy's rise, but now Randy was becoming a threat. Triple H was still WWE's top star, and he did not want the spotlight shifting away from him. At first, Evolution celebrated Randy's championship victory. But slowly, things began changing. Triple H started acting cold toward him. Conversations became tense. Batista noticed the cracks forming inside the group. Then came the betrayal. One night on WWE Raw, Evolution gathered inside the ring to celebrate Randy's title reign. Randy stood beside Triple H, smiling proudly with the championship over his shoulder. Suddenly, Triple H attacked him. The arena exploded in shock. Batista and Ric Flair joined the assault. Randy was beaten mercilessly by the very men who had once protected him. The message was clear. Evolution had turned against him. For the first time in years, Randy became a fan favorite. Crowds supported him because they saw betrayal and injustice. WWE now positioned him as the young hero, fighting against his former mentor. But behind the scenes, Randy's problems were becoming worse. His behavior outside the ring frustrated WWE management constantly. Reports of lateness, attitude issues, and immature behavior followed him everywhere. Veterans warned him that he was destroying his own future. Then disaster struck again. Randy suffered another major shoulder injury. The pain was severe, and surgery forced him out of action for months. Losing momentum after finally reaching the top crushed him mentally. While recovering, he watched other stars rise. John Cena was becoming hugely popular. Batista was turning into a monster superstar. WWE's future no longer revolved around Randy alone. And when he returned, fans had changed too. The audience no longer fully accepted him as a hero. Randy's natural personality was colder, darker, and more arrogant. WWE eventually realized he worked better as a villain. So Randy transformed again. This time, he became even more dangerous. He shaved his head, changed his attitude, and evolved into a colder, emotionless predator. The smiling young champion disappeared. In his place came a calculating and sadistic version of Randy Orton. The legend killer returned with more cruelty than ever. He attacked legends without warning. He mocked respected wrestlers. He destroyed careers for entertainment. Fans booed loudly every time his music hit, and Randy loved it. One of his most shocking rivalries came against The Undertaker. Fighting The Undertaker was considered terrifying because few wrestlers survived the psychological pressure of working against WWE's most legendary character. But Randy showed no fear. He insulted Undertaker openly, and even targeted Undertaker's family to gain an advantage. Their rivalry became violent, emotional, and deeply personal. Randy wanted to prove he could defeat even WWE's greatest legend. At the same time, his personal life remained unstable. He received suspensions. He got into backstage trouble repeatedly. Critics called him lazy and immature. Some believed WWE had made a mistake by pushing him too quickly. For a while, it seemed they might be right. Randy's talent was undeniable, but his self-destructive behavior threatened everything. There were moments when WWE management seriously questioned whether he could ever become the company's true leader. But then something unexpected happened. Instead of collapsing under pressure, Randy slowly became more dangerous, more polished, and more confident inside the ring. His wrestling style became smoother than ever. His timing improved perfectly, and fans began reacting strongly to one move above all others, the RKO. It could happen at any moment, out of nowhere. 1 second his opponent stood confidently, the next second they crashed face first into the mat. The move became legendary, and soon, Randy Orton himself was becoming something even bigger than the legend killer. He was becoming the Viper. By the late 2000s, Randy Orton was no longer the reckless young wrestler trying to prove himself. He had transformed into something colder, smarter, and far more dangerous. The Viper had arrived. Unlike the loud and arrogant stars around him, Randy became quiet, calm, emotionless. He moved slowly, stared intensely at opponents, and attacked without warning. Fans never knew when he would strike, and that made him terrifying. Every movement felt calculated. Every RKO felt sudden and deadly. Crowds exploded whenever he hit the move because it looked like lightning, fast, brutal, and unexpected. During this period, Randy became one of WWE's biggest attractions. His rivalries grew larger than ever. He battled John Cena in a rivalry that lasted for years and defined an entire WWE generation. Cena represented the heroic face of WWE, positive, loyal, and unstoppable. Randy represented the opposite, darkness, aggression, chaos. Their matches became wars for championships, pride, and control of WWE itself. Fans endlessly argued about who was better. Some supported Cena's heroic spirit, while others admired Randy's ruthless style. But Randy's most disturbing transformation came in 2009. That year, he became more violent and psychologically dangerous than ever before. He formed a faction called Legacy alongside Cody Rhodes and Ted DiBiase Jr., two younger wrestlers following family legacies, just like he once had. Randy controlled them like a ruthless leader. He manipulated people, humiliated allies, destroyed enemies without mercy. Then came his feud with the powerful McMahon family, the dynasty running WWE. One night on Raw, Randy attacked Vince McMahon viciously in front of the audience. The shocking assault left fans stunned. But Randy crossed an even darker line weeks later. During a storyline involving Triple H and his family, Randy attacked Triple H's wife, Stephanie McMahon, while Triple H was forced to watch helplessly. The moment became one of the most controversial scenes in WWE history. Fans were horrified, but at the same time, Randy had become WWE's top villain. He was no longer just a wrestler. He was the main event. Inside arenas, thousands of fans booed him loudly. Yet secretly, many admired how perfect he had become in his role. Randy's confidence, facial expressions, and calm intensity made him different from everyone else. By now, WWE trusted him completely. Championship reigns kept coming. Main events became normal. Randy headlined major pay-per-views and carried entire storylines on his shoulders. Outside the ring, however, life was still complicated. Years of wrestling were damaging his body badly. Shoulder injuries returned again and again. Back pain became constant. Travel schedules exhausted him mentally. Wrestling looked glamorous on television, but behind the scenes, Randy often lived in pain. At times, frustration returned too. He still struggled with anger and immaturity occasionally. WWE suspended him multiple times over the years for violating company policies. Critics questioned whether he was wasting one of the greatest talents wrestling had ever seen. But Randy always survived. Unlike many wrestlers who burned brightly and disappeared, he adapted constantly. He learned how to pace himself. He learned how to work smarter inside the ring instead of harder. And slowly, fans began seeing another side of him. Older wrestlers praised his professionalism. Young wrestlers respected his experience. Backstage, Randy was becoming a veteran leader, something almost impossible to imagine during his chaotic early years. Then another major chapter began. In 2013, Randy aligned himself with Triple H once again as part of a powerful corporate group known as The Authority. Many fans viewed him as WWE's chosen champion, the company's perfect weapon, and for a while, he ruled WWE again. But time changes everyone. The young rebel who once fought against authority had now become part of it. New stars were rising. Younger wrestlers wanted his position, just like he once wanted theirs. For the first time in his career, Randy Orton was no longer the future. He was becoming the legend. By the mid-2010s, Randy Orton had already spent more than a decade at the top of WWE. Most wrestlers never lasted that long. The constant travel, injuries, and pressure destroyed careers quickly. But Randy was still standing. Older now, wiser now, and carrying years of pain inside his body. Every match came with consequences. His shoulders had been injured multiple times. His knees hurt constantly. Worst of all, serious back problems were beginning to threaten his future. Yet Randy continued wrestling at the highest level. In 2017, he won the Royal Rumble match for the second time in his career. The victory proved he was still one of WWE's biggest stars, even after so many years. Fans who once hated him now respected him deeply. Younger audiences had grown up watching the RKO become one of wrestling's most iconic moves. But wrestling had changed. A new generation was taking over. Stars like Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and AJ Styles were becoming the center of WWE. Randy understood that time was moving forward. Instead of fighting reality, he adapted again. He started focusing more on storytelling, psychology, and timing rather than constant high-risk action. Inside the ring, he became smoother than ever. Many wrestlers called him one of the safest and smartest performers in the business. Then something unexpected happened. Fans began loving Randy more than ever before. The same man once known for arrogance and controversy was now viewed as a respected veteran. His sense of humor appeared more openly in interviews and backstage segments. Younger wrestlers praised him constantly. The rebellious kid from years earlier had matured. One of the biggest highlights of this period came through his partnership with Matt Riddle. The team, known as RK Bro, shocked everyone with its popularity. Riddle was energetic, funny, and unpredictable. Randy was calm, sarcastic, and experienced. Their personalities were completely opposite, which made their chemistry perfect. At first, Randy acted annoyed by Riddle constantly. Fans laughed watching the serious Viper deal with Riddle's endless excitement. But over time, genuine friendship developed between them. Crowds loved seeing Randy smile again. For years, he had played cold and emotionless characters. RK Bro allowed fans to see another side of him, relaxed, funny, and human. The team became one of WWE's most entertaining acts. Together, they won the Raw Tag Team Championships and created some of the loudest crowd reactions in WWE. Then tragedy struck again. In 2022, Randy disappeared from television suddenly. At first, fans assumed it was another temporary injury, but rumors soon became frightening. Reports claimed Randy's back problems were far more serious than anyone realized. Doctors warned him that continuing to wrestle could permanently damage his body. For the first time in his life, retirement felt real. Randy underwent spinal fusion surgery, one of the most serious procedures a wrestler could face. Recovery was painful and uncertain. Some people inside WWE privately believed he would never wrestle again. At home, Randy struggled mentally. He later admitted he entered a dark emotional period during recovery. Wrestling had defined his identity since he was young. Without it, he felt lost. Depression and fear slowly consumed him. There were nights when he wondered if his career had already ended without warning. Fans missed him badly. Months passed with no updates, no appearances, no RKO. Inside arenas, crowds still chanted his name randomly during shows. Even in absence, Randy Orton remained one of WWE's biggest stars. And then came Survivor Series 2023. The arena lights changed. Music hit. And suddenly, the entire building exploded. Randy Orton returned. The reaction was deafening. Thousands of fans screamed as the Viper walked slowly to the ring again after more than a year away. Some fans were emotional seeing him back. Others simply could not believe he had survived such devastating injuries. Randy looked different now. Stronger. More focused. More grateful. The comeback was bigger than championships or rivalries. It was proof that he had survived the darkest battle of his life. Not against another wrestler. Against losing himself completely. When Randy Orton returned to WWE after his devastating back surgery, fans looked at him differently. For years, people had admired his talent. Now they admired his survival. The younger wrestlers standing in the locker room had grown up watching him. Some of them were children when Randy first became world champion in 2004. Now they shared the ring with the man they once watched on television. And Randy understood something clearly. He had become a living legend. But even after everything he achieved, the fire inside him still burned. Randy did not return simply to wave at crowds or relive old memories. He returned because competition still mattered to him. Every time his music hit, arenas erupted. Fans stood instantly, waiting for the RKO. It no longer mattered whether he played hero or villain. People simply loved watching Randy Orton perform. Few wrestlers in history had mastered crowd psychology the way he had. A single facial expression from him could change the atmosphere inside an entire arena. His rivalries with stars like Roman Reigns and younger superstars showed how much the business had changed around him. WWE was entering a new era, but Randy still remained important inside it. That was rare. Most wrestling stars fade away when their generation ends. Randy somehow survived multiple eras. He wrestled alongside legends like The Undertaker, Triple H, and John Cena, and he also competed against an entirely new generation years later. Very few performers ever achieved that level of longevity. Outside the ring, Randy's life became calmer with age. Fatherhood changed him deeply. The angry young man, who once fought authority everywhere, slowly became more mature and thoughtful. Interviews revealed a different side of him, honest, relaxed, and sometimes surprisingly emotional. Fans who once viewed him as arrogant began understanding the pressure he carried from childhood. Imagine growing up inside a famous wrestling family. Imagine becoming world champion at only 24. Imagine living under constant expectations for more than 20 years. That pressure shaped Randy's entire personality. And despite all the mistakes, controversies, suspensions, and injuries he endured, many wrestling experts now place Randy Orton among the greatest WWE superstars ever. Some praise his smooth in-ring style. Others admire his storytelling ability, timing, and character work. Younger wrestlers often study his matches to learn pacing and psychology. The RKO itself became part of global pop culture. Sports players copied it during celebrations. Internet creators turned it into memes watched by millions. Even people who never watched wrestling recognized the move, out of nowhere. That kind of cultural impact is rare. But perhaps Randy's greatest achievement was not championships or fame. It was transformation. He transformed from a rebellious teenager into a disciplined veteran, from a reckless star into a respected leader, from the legend killer into the legend himself. Today, when fans hear voices shouting, I hear voices in my head. They instantly think of Randy Orton walking slowly toward the ring, cold eyes focused on his opponent, ready to strike at any second. And that image will likely live forever in wrestling history, because Randy Orton was never just another wrestler. He became the apex predator of WWE.
Enjoyed the video? Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more amazing stories and videos every day. Your support keeps the channel alive and motivates us to create even better content.